All right, so are you ready to dive into El Clásico? I'm talking FC Barcelona versus Real Madrid. It seems like the whole world's already going crazy about this one. And to break it all down, we've got this super interesting article here. It's all in Arabic. And it really gets into some of the details of what to expect. Plus, the stakes are high this time. Barcelona is only holding on to the top of La Liga by 3 points. And Real Madrid is right behind them, ready to pounce.
Yeah, what's really got my attention is this potential lineup that Barcelona's putting out there. It's like they're trying to mix different generations of players.
Right.
Which, it could be a genius move.
Yeah.
Or it could completely backfire.
Okay, so let's get into it. What does this lineup look like?
Well, the article says they're predicting Peña in goal.
Yeah.
Makes sense given how consistent he's been lately. Then on defense, it looks like they're going with Conde, Garcia, Martinez, and Balde. So it's a pretty good mix of experience and some younger guys who are really agile. But the midfield is where things get really interesting. They're saying Casido is going to be paired up with Pedri.
Wait a minute, Casido, isn't he a little young to be playing in a match with this much intensity?
Yeah, exactly. And that's what makes this choice so interesting. They could have gone with a more experienced midfielder, but choosing Casido instead, well, it tells me that they might be focusing more on defense this time.
Yeah.
Especially with those super fast counterattacks that Real Madrid is known for, is definitely a risk. But hey, it could really pay off.
So they're not just going all out on offense. They're actually thinking strategically. I like that. What about their attack?
Okay, get ready for some serious fireworks. The article predicts they're going to have Lamine Yamal, Fermin Lopez, and Rafinha leading the charge. And of course, legendary Lewandowski at the very front.
Lamine Yamal. Wow. Didn't we read something about him? He's incredibly young to be playing in El Clásico, right?
You're exactly right. He's only 16. It's pretty rare to see someone that young thrown into a match like this. The pressure is unbelievable. This could either make him a global superstar overnight, or let's just say it could go the other way.
Yeah, I talk about a trial by fire. But with players like Lewandowski and Rafinha playing with him, maybe Barcelona is hoping some of that experience will rub off on him.
Yeah, that's definitely possible. Just imagine a young and energetic player like Yamal learning from a veteran goal scorer like Lewandowski. That could be a powerful duo in the making. But on the other hand, if Real Madrid's defense manages to shake him up early on, it could mess up Barcelona's whole attack.
It's like watching some kind of high-stakes chess match. Every player is a piece on the board, and every move could change the whole game.
You got it. And speaking of chess matches, we can't forget about the history and the cultural importance of El Clásico itself. This isn't just another game. This rivalry goes back over a century. It's packed with drama and passion. Seriously, enough passion to fill 10 stadiums.
Yeah. You're right. It's easy to get caught up in all the tactics and stuff, but when you think about the history behind it all, it really adds a whole other layer of intensity.
For sure. Yeah. Don't forget, El Clásico is more than just a football match. It reflects some really deep social and political tensions that have been going on in Spain for centuries.
Right.
You've got Barcelona, representing the Catalan region. They've always been a symbol of regional pride and wanting more autonomy. And then you've got Real Madrid, historically connected to the Spanish monarchy. They symbolize a more centralized power structure.
So every time these two teams step onto the field, it's like they're carrying the weight of all that history on their shoulders.
Exactly. And that's why the passion surrounding these matches is totally different from anything else in football. This rivalry digs into deeper cultural identities, and it makes every goal, every tackle, every single victory feel like a statement.
It's incredible to think that a single match can mean so much to so many people.
It really is. And the article talks about this too. It highlights the pressure on both teams, especially with Barcelona trying to stay in first place in La Liga and Real Madrid trying their hardest to catch up. Every point matters here. This El Clásico could actually determine the whole season for both sides.
Wow. The pressure is definitely on, Yeah. The article mentions some other interesting details too. What else caught your eye?
Well, they mentioned that both teams might have some tactical surprises up their sleeves. We all know that both managers are really good at adapting their tactics. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see some unexpected formations, maybe some interesting substitutions, or even completely new strategies that we've never seen before.
Oh, wow. So it's like they're playing poker. They're trying to keep their best cards hidden until the very last minute.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's part of what makes El Clásico so exciting. You never know what's going to happen until that final whistle blows.
This is almost too much excitement. But hold on. Maybe we should take a step back for a second and look at how both teams have been doing lately. Is there any recent news or anything that could give us a clue about what to expect?
That's a good point. It's always important to look at the bigger picture. The article doesn't go too deep into that. No. But we do know that both teams are coming into this match with some serious momentum. Barcelona's in first place right now, but Real Madrid is right behind them. They've had some really impressive wins recently.
So both teams are in top form and ready to fight. This is going to be epic.
Oh, yeah. We've got this incredible Barcelona squad. full of young energy and experienced talent, going head-to-head with a Real Madrid team that's known for being disciplined and tough. And on top of all that, we've got this century-old rivalry that just adds another layer of intensity and meaning. It's almost too much to handle.
You're telling me. But before we get totally carried away, I think it's time to look at the tactical side of things a little more closely. What kind of strategies might we see from both teams? Stay tuned, everyone, because in the next part of our deep dive, we're going to explore the tactical battlefield of El Clásico. It's going to be wild.
Okay, so let's try to break down this tactical battle. It's like a chess match.
Right.
From what we can tell from the predicted lineup, it looks like Barcelona is probably going with that dynamic 4-3-3 formation. Think of it like a well-oiled machine. You've got that solid back four. They're like the foundation. Then you got the three midfielders. They're the ones controlling the pace and the flow of the game. And of course, you've got those three forwards up front, with Lewandowski leading the charge, ready to unleash an all-out attack.
Sounds like they're not holding back on offense, but how does this formation play to their strengths?
Well, with Rafinha and Yamal on the wings, they could really stretch the field. They can use their speed and agility to create chaos, especially on the flanks. And with Lewandowski waiting in the box, any good cross or through ball could be a real threat to Real Madrid.
So they're basically hoping to just overwhelm Real Madrid with their attack.
Yeah.
But I'm sure Real Madrid has some tricks up their sleeve too.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I think Real Madrid is probably going to take a more cautious approach. Their manager is super experienced, so I wouldn't be surprised to see them use a compact 4-4-2 formation, focusing on a strong defense, while they wait for the perfect opportunity to strike back.
So it's the classic battle of styles. The relentless attack versus the calculated counterattack. But it's not all about formations, is it? What about those individual battles within the match?
That's a great point. The midfield battle is going to be key. Barcelona's got Pedri. He's like a maestro. When it comes to controlling the pace of the game, he's got amazing vision and he can pass the ball like a magician. But Real Madrid is definitely going to try to disrupt his flow. Maybe they'll put someone on him specifically to mark him tightly. Or maybe they'll use some aggressive pressing tactics.
So it's like they're trying to cut off the head of the snake, neutralize Pedri, and their whole attack falls apart.
Exactly. But Barcelona has some ways to counter that. Remember Casido in the midfield. He could be the key here.
Yeah.
While Pedri is orchestrating the attack, Casido can provide that defensive cover, protecting the back line and stopping those Real Madrid counterattacks. It's a delicate balance. It takes a lot of discipline and individual skill.
It really is like a high-stakes chess game. Every move can have a ripple effect. But it's not just about the technical stuff and tactics. There's also that psychological element too, especially in a match as emotionally charged as El Clásico.
Absolutely. The pressure is unbelievable. The history, the expectations of millions of fans, this intense rivalry, all of that adds up to an atmosphere unlike anything else in football.
I can only imagine what it must be like for those players to step onto that pitch, knowing the whole world is watching. How do they even handle that kind of pressure?
Experience definitely helps. Barcelona has some veterans, like Lewandowski, who've been in these situations before. They know how to block out the noise and just focus. But for a young player like Yamal, this is a whole new level. It's a test of his character as much as his skill.
And we can't forget about the managers. They set the tone. They make the big decisions. And they have to try to keep their teams focused in the middle of all the craziness.
You're right. The managers are like the generals in this battle. And their leadership is so important. They have to be great tacticians, they have to motivate their players, and they have to be psychologists too. They need to build their players' confidence, adapt to the changes in the match, and make split-second decisions that could determine the entire outcome.
Wow, talk about a high-pressure job.
Yeah.
But I guess that's what makes El Clásico so captivating. It's those high stakes, the intensity, the fact that you just never know what's going to happen.
Exactly. And beyond all the tactics and the psychological stuff, there's another factor that could come into play. Injuries. Even a small injury to a key player could change everything.
Oh, that's true. Imagine if Lewandowski got injured before the match. That would be a huge blow to Barcelona's attack.
Totally. And on the other hand, what if Real Madrid lost one of their main defenders? That could open up some big opportunities for Barcelona's forwards. It just goes to show that even with all the planning and analysis, there are always things you can't control. That can change the course of the match.
It's like trying to solve some complex math problem, where there are hidden variables that could pop up at any time. But I guess that's part of what makes sports so great.
Definitely. The unpredictability, the drama, those moments that just defy logic and leave you speechless.
Yeah. El Clásico has a history of those moments, those goals that become legendary, those unbelievable saves, those twists of fate that keep you on the edge of your seat.
Exactly. It's like watching a movie unfold right in front of you, with all those plot twists and turns.
Speaking of stories, I think it's time to dive a little deeper into the story of El Clásico itself. This rivalry goes back over a century. It's full of iconic moments, legendary players, and enough drama for 1,000 books. So stay tuned, everyone, because in the next part of our deep dive, we're going to explore the history and cultural significance of El Clásico. This is a rivalry that goes way beyond the sport itself. You know, as we've been talking about this El Clásico, I can't help but think about all the people who are lucky enough to actually be at the game. Can you imagine being in that stadium, the energy, the noise from the crowd, everyone gasping when a shot goes just wide of the goal?
It's more than just watching a game. You're surrounded by,
Right.
I don't know, like this wave of passion and history. So much emotion. The chants, the colors. It's almost too much.
I know people who have been to El Clásico,
Yeah.
and they all say it's an experience you never forget. Like you're transported to a different world where football is everything.
Yeah. And even for people watching at home on TV, you can almost feel that energy, like it's coming right through the screen.
Yeah.
El Clásico has this way of connecting people from all over the world. It doesn't matter where you're from or what your background is. Everyone's sharing this experience together.
I like that. Because it feels like the world is so divided these days. But then you have something like El Clásico that reminds us that we all have things in common.
Exactly. And you know what? All that excitement and tension, it's even bigger this time. Because this El Clásico could decide who wins La Liga.
That's right. We've talked about tactics, the psychological pressure, the history. But in the end, it all comes down to what happens out there on the field. So, what do you think? Any predictions for this Clash of the Titans?
Honestly, if I could predict El Clásico, I would be sitting here talking to you. I'd be on a beach somewhere counting my money.
Uh-huh.
But based on everything we've discussed, Barcelona's attack, Real Madrid's tactical discipline, the fact that anything could happen, I think this is going to be a really close match.
I agree. It's too close to call. But isn't that what makes El Clásico so exciting?
For sure.
We know that we're about to set another chapter in this rivalry. That goes back over 100 years.
Exactly. And no matter who wins, this match is going to be remembered. It's another piece of El Clásico history. And it just shows how powerful sports can be. Sports inspire us, they make us excited, and they bring us together.
Well said. So as we wrap up our deep dive, I want to leave you with something to think about. How do you think this particular El Clásico will affect the rest of the season? Will a Barcelona win mean they're going to dominate? Or will Real Madrid upset shake things up?
It's a good question. It's amazing how one match, especially a match like El Clásico, can change everything, like that butterfly effect. Even a tiny change can have huge consequences that impact the whole season.
What a great way to put it. That's what makes sports so amazing. You just never know what's going to happen. And those unexpected moments, they keep us on the edge of our seats. And we keep talking about them long after the game is over. So as you watch this El Clásico, remember, you're not just watching a football match. You're watching history being made.
I like that.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the world of El Clásico. We'll be back soon to explore more amazing stories and ideas. Until then, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep diving deep.